Hi, it's Teresa, and I never ever realized how much different traveling is for an empath than for other people. I have a feeling you can totally relate. So we just recently got back from a trip to Tulum, and the journey of the empath started way before we even left for the trip. As people were hearing we were traveling to Mexico, there was so much fear. Everyone we ran into was just throwing their fear around because of all of the news reports that they had been reading, all of the things that were happening that they were being shown. The hard part is navigating what feels true to us. So for me, none of that fear felt true, but people kept trying to pass it on to me. And so way before we even left, something that I had to navigate was, what is this energy actually about? People will find the empath. As you know, people will find you, seek you out, and want to dump everything on you so that they can feel better. So that's what's happening with this kind of fear as well. Now, granted, there was actually very good intention behind some people expressing their concern about safety and things like that. They were well-meaning for where they were coming from at the time. However, it was just excessive amounts of fear. So what I noticed they were doing was really compiling all the fear and shoving it on to us, and then saying, if you can withstand this, maybe I can get through this too. And that's a really interesting dynamic that I had never noticed before. How do you hold your center and stay rooted and grounded in what you know is true for you while everyone else is swirling in their own fear? The empath tends to make everyone feel better and feel everyone's pain and know how to help them through it. So with people having their own fears, they actually will share them with you to an exaggerated degree so that you can withstand it, and then they can hope that there's a way for them to withstand it too. Then you get to the airport, and you know how energy is at the airports. Everyone is nervous, everyone's excited, all of it. And you can feel everything if you leave yourself that open. The one place I really felt deep empathy this time was when I got on the plane and there was a woman there who was terrified of flying. She couldn't even string words together. She was just hysterical crying, couldn't even take a breath. So she was explaining to the flight attendant why she needed to take her little pill and pass out as soon as possible. And she was just trying and she couldn't get the words out. I just felt so deeply for her that I wanted to go and put my arms around her and just hold her until she fell asleep. And for me, that was okay, because then what I felt I could do was send light her way, send love her way, ask her angels to calm and guide her through her flight. And then there was the arrival at Tulum itself. So Tulum, if you've not been there, is this incredible place with this energy of great love. It's a very high vibration, high frequency place. Being there felt like I had come home. It felt normal to me. Being in that high frequency of light just felt right. At the same time, the fear and the hysteria and the anger that's actually being directed at Mexico from the entire United States right now. And being in the Mexico part of that, it was really interesting feeling all of that being aimed almost like missiles at Mexico. You could really feel the energetics of the emotions that were coming to Mexico from the United States. And to me, that was very interesting because I had only been on the other side of that where people were launching it and not feeling the effects. So it was interesting to feel all of that coming at me while feeling this high vibration of the land. Normally when I'm away with a lot of people and we're spending time in deep communion and really focusing on growth and love and spirituality, I'm very open to spending time with people. I'm very open to having conversations that people want to have, to getting into the really deep stuff. And this time, it was completely different. It's not that I wasn't open to being with those people. It was that I was open to being with people if I was feeling that my own needs were met. So I started to feel like maybe I was being selfish, or maybe I was detaching from the situation and not wanting to dive as deep. So there was a lot of self-questioning, self-reflection, and also self-judgment in some ways was going on at this time. But when I felt into what was true and what was happening at that point in time, the energy of Tulum was opening my heart, but opening my heart in a way that was completely different than some of the ways my heart's been open before. It's very easy for us as empaths to open our heart to everyone else, to have these great big heart openings so we can give more and more energy to everyone around us, to everyone who needs it. This was different. This was a giant heart opening for myself. This was me getting to the depths of self-love that I talk to other people about, to asking myself what I need in every moment before I go and give to other people. So this was a very different and sometimes uncomfortable way to be for me, but it was almost like there was absolutely no other way I could be, because every time I tried to be something else, go back to those default empath kind of behaviors, it was almost like the land magnetized me to where I was standing, so I couldn't actually take the walk over to where I was headed. For empaths, being in aligned community, being in places like retreat or traveling with people who are like us, it gets us out of our day-to-day, and it allows us to connect and commune on deeper and deeper levels. Being with other people who can really understand the depth of how you feel, the depth of who you are, is really beautiful. And then we flourish in those situations. We thrive. We allow ourselves to open up more because people understand us more deeply. We allow the great big strides that were kind of on the cusp of our awareness to happen when we're in supportive community like this. And then we have to go back home. To be honest, while I was in this experience, I wasn't aware of all the subtle dynamics of energy that were happening. I was just aware that I wasn't able to give as much to others as I normally would. And if I went to do so, I didn't feel like I had the energy. It just felt wrong to do that, to overcompensate by overgiving and taking on other people's stuff that wasn't mine to take on. Then coming back home was very interesting, because this is where all of those pieces and the awareness of what had gone on started to actually happen. One of the first things I needed to do was go to the grocery store. The stores here get really super crowded on the weekends. And there's a unique phenomenon that happens in the part of the world where I am, where people are so completely overstimulated that they shut down. It's almost like they glaze over and they don't see anything around them. They just are focused internally on what they need to do and what they need to get done to get to the next thing that they need to do. The grocery store is full of people operating like this. And it's so packed that there's no room to wheel your shopping cart between other shopping carts. And what's happening is that people would finally see someone wanting to come through and part the shopping carts, like, oh, like Moses parts the Red Sea, parting of the shopping carts, and you'd go through, but then 5 people on the other side would want to come through first, because I also live in an area that's a me first, I'm the best, my family comes before yours kind of mentality. As you can imagine, coming from this big, huge, heart-opening space to being enmeshed in this energy in the middle of a supermarket, what that was doing to my system, it was ridiculous to me to see that this is how we live day to day. This is not reality. The actual energy of love and open-heartedness and high frequency, that's the reality. So now I'm back here. I'm navigating the supermarket with all of these people who are just completely unaware of how in need they are of a recharge, how in need they are of just, instead of glazing over and focusing on what's internal and the next thing you have to do, to just look up and see the eyes of the human being in front of you, how just that moment could change your life and pull you out of whatever it is you're experiencing. I was feeling this, it wasn't necessarily anger, it was sadness, it was frustration, absolutely, and It was deep longing for the healing that can happen just through human connection to happen for these people in the supermarket. I needed to come home. I had no idea what was going on in my system. I actually texted one of my friends. I was like, I am in the parking lot of the supermarket. I am just ready to cry and scream, and I'm laughing at the ridiculosity of it all. I wanted to share this because this integration, this immersion back into where I actually live was so much harder than it ever has been before. And I feel that part of that is because as an empath, you and I right now at this moment in time are being called to start to put ourselves in the mix. We've been called to do that before, but this is reality. It's almost like if we are not doing that, we are not able to help other people anymore to the degree we would have before. The universe is stopping us and saying, no, you need to get yourself in the mix here. When we are more balanced and we understand the energetics that are playing out around us, we can stand in that high frequency energy that I was describing of Tulum. We can stand there and invite other people as they pass us in the supermarket to cross through that energy and feel it. And for a moment, take a breath and say, wow, what was that? And then we're creating those high frequency environments wherever we are. It doesn't mean that you're going to be able to do this in every moment of every day. That would be ridiculous. You're still human. But what you will be able to do is hold the high vibration more of the time and understand when your system needs something. There are so many more pieces that are interesting in terms of doing anything as an empath, but traveling to an area where so many people are being shown that they should fear and being shown that things are not happening that are good in that area, and no judgment, just being honest about what's going on in the world. Traveling there invited in a whole new level of standing in my own power, standing in the light, standing in the truth, and what I know is the truth. And so I invite you to use every experience that you have as an empath to do the same thing. That is how we're going to change the world, but we can't do it if we're depleted. We have to put ourselves in the mix. So I wish you a beautiful, beautiful day, and I hope that you are doing something really special for yourself today. Sending you so much love.